Welcome back. We continue with our conversation on how we tackle the scourge of violence committed against women and children. We are still in the studio with Comrade Lula Manare, the chairperson of the Commission for Gender Equality. Before I continue, I would read messages from Facebook that we received. We received a message from Malisela Kekana. He says it starts with women naming and shaming abusers. Yes, correct. Men must also drop this mentality that once you marry a woman, you own her and control her. Even police must stop shaming men for reporting abuse. Stop calling other officers when we report abuse. Teach young girls not to depend on men for money or to stop using men for material gains. That's Malisela. And another message from Morgan, it says, you will never win a war against any social injustice if you choose to politicize it. Gender-based violence is political, Morgan. Why? Because there is always another agenda which overshadows the real issues. Here is a case in point. The woman on the left wants to push a political party's popularity. Me, I'm a woman before I'm from a political party, Morgan. The one on the right pushing her career towards a higher political office. Okay, that's Morgan. That's Morgan. So those are our messages from Facebook. Yeah, so that's what they are saying. What do you think? Do you think gender-based violence is not political? Do you think femicide is not political? When they say we must not politicize it, what is that? What is your comment on that?
So for Morgan, he must know that whatever we aspire as women to do, we are always constrained with sexism and gender-based violence. So even if I aspire for a political career, and even if you are using your political party, one thing, when we walk out of the studio, we get raped, we get harassed, and therefore we are not any different from any woman who is not pushing any agenda. And for Morgan, I'm inviting him to join our discussion and work with us so that we can find solutions.
No, I think that's a mouthful, because before anything else, we are women. We get scared. When you see a car following, you get frightened. That's what happens to every woman. So abuse does not choose. That's why it's been cutting across, and it's even worse on the poor and the working class. And then Kekana makes a very, very, very sound contribution about us naming and shaming, and I think also changing the way we communicate. You know, we've been arguing, like the recent Dross rape case. You would find in popular events, in gatherings where the rape case is mentioned, they do not mention the name of the alleged rapist by saying Nicholas Nino raped a 6-year-old child. They would say a 6-year-old child was raped. So the narrative is not on the rapist or the abuser. The narrative is not on those that commit crimes against women, but it remains actually on the victims and the survivors. And also, I think in some way promoting stigma, promoting, you know, like isolation of victims and hiding the identity of these people that commit these crimes. And that's why also as the Young Women's Desk, we advanced a campaign of name and shame, where we were naming people that were committing these crimes and saying it is a man like this one by their name that make children and women to live in fear. So do you agree with Kekana when he speaks about how we must in fact name? What has the Gender Commission done to advance this thing of taking the narrative away from the women who are abused, right to the offenders, right to the perpetrators of gender-based violence? What direct and, you know, deliberate, valid measures have you put there that we can say this, and this is what we have done to channel the debate as part of advocacy and also as part of sensitizing society?
So one of the things that we do is to go to women to help them go to police stations. And to all the police stations that have not taken all the cases of women, you find that a policeman says, go back, go and resolve this at home. These 16 days of activism were also helping, but this is what we continuously have empowered to do, is to reopen the cases that have been closed. 2, we also go inside the courts. We monitor courts. We monitor the languages that are used inside courts, because what we have found out is that some of our lawyers, they speak gender-insensitive language. The way the cross-examination is being carried on in this country, it shows that we are very far from gender equality, that our struggle continues.
Okay, before we take the discussion further, let's take a caller on the line. We have Sidiko on the line. Sidiko from Pretoria, you're welcome.
Good evening to you, Precious, and good evening to Chairperson Lulam.
Thank you. Good evening to you and to all the listeners again.
I think I need to disagree with Morgan, who said the anchor is pushing political party mandate and the chairperson is pushing a political career. That's being insensitive, because we've got the high scourge of gender-based violence in the country, and that should only be seen as the women's struggle. It should be a societal struggle. All of us should participate in dismantling patriarchy and male chauvinism and make sure that we end this scourge of gender-based violence in the country. It cannot be reserved to be a fight that must be launched by women. Everybody must participate in this struggle.
That's a very powerful contribution. Thank you so much, Sidiko. It's because of men like you that we think at least a change can be made. We want more men to stand up like you, Sidiko, in Pretoria. What do you have to say? He was very clear.
I agree with Sidiko. Wherever women find themselves, whether they find themselves in political party, whether they find themselves in high political positions or looking for a higher career, we should be using our voice. So, Morgan, we're not closing our mouth. You can give us all different names. We are the face of gender violence in this country, and we're going to use our voice in whatever political office we are. We're going to still use it.
Okay, you see, Chairperson, there's, I think like there's still more that the Gender Commission can do. There's still more that the Gender Commission's work can get. Like, the people needs to know what is the Gender Commission doing. The people at home, like when we started the conversation, I mentioned about the most vulnerable women that we have. The most vulnerable women in the periphery who need to know the work of the commission and to know that there is a commission that pushes for their equality by also looking into their emancipation as women that are disadvantaged themselves. I would also bring the issue of human trafficking. Human trafficking is on the rise. It's high. Have you done anything in that regard, like, public education to make people to understand that there is human trafficking and it's so high? We are going to take calls. We'll continue to take calls. We are taking calls on 011-759-6340, but we'll continue with the taking of the calls when we come back from the break. Let's go for a break now.